Hey everyone, Adam Phillips here for Dynamite Entertainment, and we're talking today with the delightful David Avallone, who is one of the writers on the Savage Tales one-shot that's coming out on July 6th. And we're going to dig into this in a moment, but before we do, please everyone hit the like and subscribe buttons, and that way you do not miss any of our upcoming videos on the Dynamite YouTube page. So David, I'm glad to
Adam,
have you
how are
back.
you?
Pretty good.
Good to hear
Those are
that.
some fun stories. You got to play with some really early fantasy characters, let's say that, in
Yeah,
sort of a
yeah.
modern.
When Joe reached out to me, first he said, "Would you write an Alan Quartermain?" And said, "Sure, of course I'd write an Alan Quartermain." And then he asked me about Gulliver of Mars, and I went, "Wow, we are digging deep here."
Yeah,
And I was surprised to find out that I'm the sucker that took that everyone else got Red Sonja and Vampirella.
correct.
I got the tough one. I got the tough assignments. And being who I am, when I said yes to Alan Quartermain, as soon as I walked away from the computer, I was like, and now you're forcing yourself to learn about turn of the century South Africa to write
Yeah,
an 8-page story.
right.
But I reached out to a friend of mine who still lives in South Africa in the Natal region and talked to her a
Wow.
little bit about what it was like out there. And
Oh,
it
that's
didn't
wild.
I didn't end up really using a lot of it, but I feel uncomfortable if I don't know anything
Sure.
about what I'm writing about. And I'm familiar with Alan from before League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but of course I'm familiar with League of
Movies.
Extraordinary Gentlemen. And
Yes.
and I will say that Haggard's character is a lot like not a lot like Alan Moore's character. So there was no real danger in stepping on those toes or repeating anything.
No, and I mean, I haven't read any stories, original stories of Alan Quatermain or Gulliver Jones from way back then, but I'm going to guess that these are not the most fully drawn characters you've ever read.
Quatermain is actually a fascinating character.
Okay.
I mean, he's definitely of his time and place, but
Uh-huh.
like page 2 of the introduction to King Solomon's Mine, which is the first, the Mines, which is the first Quatermain story, he gets into a very like anti-colonialist, anti-racist kind of a like, I don't like hearing Africans called the N-word. It's kind of a fascinating
That's wild.
approach. And I think, and Haggard had spent a lot of time in Africa. And I think like Quatermain, his father was a missionary and he had very mixed feelings. He had a great love of Africa while still having the turn of the century British lens through which to look at it.
Right.
So that was actually why I made my story be about colonialism and missionaries. In a way, I just went with the worst possible missionaries you could imagine.
Yeah.
In
Wild.
Lovecraft's writing, there is a Cthulhu cult,
Right.
that goes around the world trying to get people, to follow Cthulhu. So I thought, why they would try that in Africa, and Alan Quatermain would not be down with that. So, right. That was the basis of that.
And this features artwork by established industry professional Will Rios.
Yeah, and I had never worked with Will before, and he did a great job. I mean, it very much looked exactly like I imagined it would look. He did his character design on Quatermain was great. It was not overly influenced by the film versions, which was good, while still being recognizably, I think anyone would recognize it as Alan Quatermain.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then the second story, Gulliver of Mars, is a much more challenging character. The book is not good. It's
how funny.
It's often claimed to be the inspiration for John Carter of Mars, but if you dig deep, it wasn't very widely publicized. It was not widely printed. It's possible that Burroughs heard of it, but they're such very different books. And I actually kind of leaned into what's wrong with the book, which is that Gulliver has this adventure on Mars, and then he's kind of in the middle of it. He has solved nothing. He has saved no one. And then he runs away back. He gets an opportunity to go back to Earth. And he's like, hey, great. I can just get the hell out of this Martian castle where I'm under siege and where everything's. As anyone who follows my work knows, I'm obsessive about history and research. And I just thought, okay, so that's 1895, 1898, whenever that story takes place. He's in his early 20s. He's a lieutenant in the Navy. What's he doing 20 years later when World War I breaks out and the United States gets into World War I? And I thought maybe he would be haunted by his cowardice and his failure on Mars. And now he's this fierce soldier fighting in the Meuse-Argonne salient in World War I. Actually, I made a documentary about World War I a few years ago, and I visited the battlefield I'm writing about. So I know that stuff sort of backwards and forwards. But I thought, what if he's now this sort of like angry, bitter, and of course, I'm writing this thing during COVID. It's 1918.
Yeah, there's some parallels.
So Gulliver of Mars ends with him. It's called His Vacation is the original title of the novel. I called this His War, and he's grieving for his wife who has just passed away of the Spanish flu.
Yes.
Sort of undoing the happy ending of the book.
Touching. This features artwork by a Kubert School alumnus, I guess, Hamish Monroe Cook, who's
very recent graduate.
Real nice job.
When I was writing it, Joe said, "Yeah, I'm going to Kubrick School." The Kubrick School, the Kubrick School. I have Kubrick on the brain because of Elvira. Going to the Kubrick School. I'm going to find you an artist, and I said, "Great, love it," and showed me some work, which was really impressive. And artist did a terrific job on the story. It's really a challenging one. And the good news about this is I left it fairly open-ended, and I heard from Joe just the other day that they want more Savage Tales from me. So we will be continuing that story of Gulliver of Mars, and
nice.
I'm excited to do that. It's how I reframed him made me interested. Like, as I said, accepting the weakness of the character as written and going, okay, let's tell a story about how he feels about that weakness 20 years later. I'm excited to take Gulliver back to Mars.
Very cool.
In our next issue of Savage Tales.
Whenever that will be.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we'll show the variant covers right now for this issue. There's just a few. It's out on July 6th, which is coming right up.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely get out there and get yourself a copy, kids, because it's a lot of fun. So thanks for your time, David. As always, we appreciate it.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, Adam.
All right, great. Take care.